McClellan Ranch Preserve was once a horse ranch owned by the McClellan family in the 1930s, and you can still see the original ranch house, a milk barn, livestock barn, and a working replica blacksmith shop. In addition, the city's Environmental Education Center and Nature Museum, the Santa Clara Valley Audubon Society, and Rolling Hills 4-H are also located on the property. McClellan Ranch has been designated a nature preserve. A nature preserve is a protected area of importance for plants, animals, and other natural features of special interest. It is preserved and managed for purposes of conservation and to provide special opportunities for research, study, and education. Hi, my name is Keith Wandry, and I work for the City of Cupertino as a recreation coordinator and a naturalist here at McClellan Ranch Preserve. I will be your host today as we learn about the importance of stormwater pollution prevention and how it can help us protect our environment, our creeks, our bays, and our oceans. A watershed is an area of land which channels rainfall, snowmelt, and moisture from fog to creeks, streams, and rivers, and eventually to either a lake or a bay and ocean. The creek flowing through our preserve is Stevens Creek. The Stevens Creek watershed is all of the land where when it rains, the water flows downhill and into Stevens Creek. The Stevens Creek watershed starts in the Santa Cruz Mountains and travels nearly 20 miles through Cupertino and empties into the San Francisco Bay between Shoreline Park and Moffett Field. 100 years ago, our valley was covered by farms and orchards. When it rained, the water would be absorbed into the ground or by gravity flow down into one of the many nearby creeks. As more and more people came to the valley, orchards and farms were torn down to build roads, houses, and businesses, covering the ground with cement and asphalt. This paving prevented the stormwater from being absorbed into the ground. To prevent flooding, cities installed curbs and gutters, which used gravity to carry the water to a storm drain and dump it into the nearest creek or waterway. Today, with much of our ground covered by asphalt and cement, stormwater runs over streets, lawns, and other man-made surfaces, picking up pollutants. Pollution is something that causes harmful or poisonous effects to the environment or the natural world. What kind of things might stormwater be carrying that we should be concerned about? And what kind of things might end up polluting the creek? Let's take a look at some of the most common pollutants which come through our storm drains, how they affect things in our creeks, bays, and oceans, and what you and I can do in our daily lives to help reduce and prevent them from getting into our stormwater. Remember, pollution is something that causes harmful or poisonous effects to the environment or the natural world. One of the biggest pollutants is trash. Many products we use are wrapped and packaged in materials which do not break down naturally and contain chemicals or plastics. Think of your lunches, everything from wrappers on cookies, chips, snacks, drinks, etc. We're finding that great quantities of these are making their way to our oceans and causing health problems for sea life, from small fishes to birds and whales. Even small pieces of plastic such as wrappers from the straw on your juice box can be mistaken for food by a bird, fish, mammal, or other creature. Not only is that bad for the creature that ate it, it's bad for all the other creatures which may rely on it as a food source. So what can we do? Well, we could use less items that are pre-packaged in wrappers. Maybe buy a big bag of cookies and put a few in a Ziploc bag or a reusable plastic container for your lunch. The container can be used over and over again and washed when dirty. Rather than a paper bag you throw out every day, maybe a reusable lunchbox with containers to put each of your daily foods in. Put your trash in the garbage. If you see some on the ground, don't say "not mine" and walk away. Maybe someone accidentally dropped it or it got blown by the wind. Be responsible and pick it up and throw it away. If you see someone drop something, remind them of the importance of throwing it in the trash. Listen or watch the weather forecast, and when rain is predicted, you can make a quick check of the curbs and remove any trash before the rains come and wash it into the storm drain and creek. Taking just a few moments each day, we can all make a difference. The next time we have rain, ask your parent if they noticed how slippery the road is while they're driving. That is oil making it slippery. Oil is used to lubricate moving parts in gasoline-powered automobiles. As the cars get older, parts wear down and oil leaks from the cars and onto the ground, where it stays until the next rain. Of course, the stormwater washes the oil from the road and down into the creek. Oil is very toxic and bad for the environment. A single gallon of oil can pollute up to 1 million gallons of water in our oceans and have long-term damaging effects on the life that exists there. What do you think we can do to reduce the amount of oil that gets on our roadways? Take a few moments to think about it. One solution is to take your car to a mechanic and have the leak fixed. The advantage of that is the mechanic will properly send the old oil to a recycling location for proper disposal. You can also make sure to inspect your car on a regular basis in order to catch any leaks when they first begin. Depending on the age of your car and how many problems it's having, it may be cheaper to go out and buy a newer car. And of course, you can always buy an electric car and not have to worry about oil at all. You can also keep oil off the street and out of our waterways by not driving somewhere. If you're going to the store or somewhere local to your house, you could walk. You could run. You could ride a bike. You could ride a scooter. You could ride a skateboard. It's up to you, and it's good for you. Give it a try and see the neighborhood while protecting our water. The next form of pollution we'll be talking about is soap from washing your car in the driveway. We often think of soap as being a good thing for cleaning things, but in the creek, soap is a pollutant. The detergent in soaps breaks the surface tension of the water, which is crucial for some creatures such as water striders. Surface tension is crucial for them to move around on the surface of the creek. Lower surface tension also reduces the oxygen level in the water, causing harm to fish and other aquatic life. Some people wash their car in the driveway, where the water carries the soap into the gutter, through the storm drain, and into the creek. The best alternative for washing your car is to take your car to a car wash, which is required by law to catch and retain the water in a tank so it does not go into the local waterways and can be recycled. If you really have to wash your car at home, it is best to drive it onto your lawn and wash it there so the soap will be absorbed into the ground and not enter our water. The ground works as a natural filter for pollutants by neutralizing harsh chemicals used in soaps and cleaners. Soap is a pollutant which is very visible when it enters the creek as it creates suds on the surface. We see a good amount of it with the first rain we get after the long, dry summer, as people wash their cars more during the summer and the soap builds up when the water evaporates. When the rains do come, it washes all of the soap into the creek at one time. Multiple storm drains dump into our creek in the preserve, and we can actually determine which storm drain the soap substance has come from by looking at the suds and walking upstream until we find no more suds. This can help us determine which neighborhood it came from. Let's take a 30-second break to stand up and stretch with our native flat-backed millipede. They live in leaf litter beneath trees, and as you can see, they glow when exposed to ultraviolet light. In their natural habitat, most millipedes are scavengers. They eat damp or decaying wood particles. They also eat decaying leaves and other plant material. They play an important role in the environment here at McClellan Ranch Preserve. Okay. Okay, let's sit back down and get back to it. And we are back. Outdoor cats can get a parasite if they consume birds, rats, or other animals that have the parasite. The cat will shed the parasite in their feces, or poop, for about 2 weeks. If the cat does this outdoors and the feces is allowed to decompose, the parasite can wash into the storm drain and out into the ocean. Scientists have found this parasite in Monterey Bay, and it is killing sea otters and affecting seals, dolphins, and some species of whales. People can help by keeping their cats indoors, properly disposing of waste, and preventing their pets from killing potentially infected birds and rodents. Pesticides are used to kill things that bother us in some way. They are poison. Most use toxic chemicals. They are not only poisonous to what it says on their label, they are poisonous to most other living things. If you go to a place which sells them, there are rows and rows of them for every type of pest. Most pesticides are indiscriminate. They will kill bugs that are considered pests and also what we consider good pests, such as bees and ladybugs. All of their labels have "keep out of reach of children" written on them. Pesticides are used primarily in agriculture, but are also sold for use at your home. If used incorrectly, spilled, or disposed of improperly, they can easily find their way into our storm drains and into our creeks and waterways and cause lots of damage to our environment. An example of their use is for killing aphids on rose bushes. If you spray a pesticide on the rose, it will kill the aphids, but when it rains, that pesticide may wash off and go into the storm drain. Instead of using pesticides, you can use many organic, environmentally friendly methods to resolve your pest problems. You could hand-pick the worms off your plants. You could pick up the snails that you find in your yard. You can make a safe bug spray of water and hot pepper sauce to discourage the aphids on your plants. And there are many other environmentally safe solutions, too. In our creek, there are animals which can tell us how good or bad our water quality is and help us estimate and monitor the health of the creek. These are nymphs and larvae. Basically, baby bugs. Yep, baby bugs. Many flying insects lay their eggs in the creek. Those tiny eggs hatch and the baby bugs, which we refer to as nymphs and larvae, grow up in the creek and one day will crawl out of the creek and shed their exoskeleton and become adults with wings. These insects are important to all other animals as they provide food for the other living things at the base of the food web. While they are living in the creek, these nymphs and larvae cling to the bottom of rocks or on other debris at the bottom of the creek. Some eat algae, some eat other bugs, some eat decomposing organic matter such as leaves and other decomposing debris. These tiny bugs are important because they provide food for animals living in along the creek, such as fish, crayfish, insects, birds, rodents, etc. When they come out of the water and become adults, they are able to fly. As adults, they provide food for birds, fish, other bugs, reptiles such as lizards, amphibians such as newts, frogs, and toads, bats, dragonflies, and small snakes, to name a few. And all those things provide food for other things higher in the food web. So here we are at the creek, and these are the riffles here. You can see the water's shallow. We can see the rocks, and you can see the stirring of the water, the white caps in the water, the lighter areas. That's oxygen. That's where oxygen is going to be mixing with the water. And so what I'm going to do here, this is a great spot for bugs because the bottom is there and air is coming right to it. It's right there. It's not at a bottom of a deep pool or anything. It's getting oxygen all the time, and that's great for all the bacteria and everything to break down. And on the bottom of the creek, that's what the detritus is that the bugs like to eat, and a lot of them feed on. So this is a good rich habitat if the creek isn't polluted for those bugs. So I'm going to grab a rock. I'm going to get some water in this tray. And this is just like something you could do at home. If you have a tray and bring your parents down, I'm going to put some water in here, then I'm going to pick up a rock from one of those areas where there's lots of movement and the riffles and put it in here. And then, you know, when they're in the riffles, the bugs are holding on to the rocks because otherwise they'd go with the water down the stream. And what they are going to do when they get in this water, because it's not moving, is they're going to not stop. Well, they're going to stop holding onto the rocks, and they're going to start swimming around if they're there, right? If the creek's not polluted. So we'll look and see what's in here and what variety of bugs there are. You can do this out at the creek if you have a tray like this and a parent, and you can get a magnifying glass so you can look closely at the bugs, right? And this is a magnifying glass. It's about $1.50 at Daiso, I think it is. And these are really good. These are really good. Learn how to use them, and we'll talk about that. And but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead. I'll demonstrate how you would look at them with the magnifying glass, and then I'm going to take them back and put them up under a microscope and see if we can see some of those bugs close up, and then try to identify them. Okay? So let me get the rock here. Okay, so I'm looking for a nice spot here. Now there's a lot of leaves right there. I could put water in here and put a handful of leaves in, not too many, but some, so that it would be clear for them to go down to an end where there's just clean water. Then you see the bugs better. But let me look and see first if I can find a rock, and I'll go ahead and put that. If you have wading boots, rain boots, that's a good boot to have. I don't have any today. I'm just going to be using my shoes. And in theory, they're waterproof, but they're not really waterproof. So here we go. Okay, I'm standing on these rocks right here. That's a good rock. I'm going to get some water in, and then I'm going to look at a rock right up. I'm not going to fall in there. I'm going to get a rock. Maybe this guy. Okay. I'm going to put it right in here. Okay. And then we'll see. I can find a spot that's dry and set it down. And then I just wait a few minutes, right? Because the bugs, takes them a little time to figure out that the current's not moving, right? So they're sitting there, and let's wait for a few minutes and keep your eye open for what's moving in there. If there's something moving around, it's a bug or it's something that's alive, okay? So let's take a look here for a minute. Okay, I've let it sit for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I don't see anything moving in there right now. Not moving quickly. I don't see anything moving quickly. I see something moving very slow. A couple things, 3 things moving extremely slow. And then I see something tiny and tiny. Oh, and I see something there in the corner. So let me get that down here and let's take a closer look. Okay, I can see down in the lower left corner down here, right in here. Oh, there's somebody there moving along super fast. Super fast moving. Oh, let's go over here, right? Oh, to the other side of the rock. Let's see what we see over here. You see anybody? Oh, there's somebody moving. Oh yeah, there's somebody. There's bugs here. That's a good thing. We've got bugs. That's excellent. The next short video segment is going to be repeated 3 times so students can observe what they notice about each of the insects. Pay attention to body shape, number of legs, tails, and how it moves. Now let's try this bug. Let's see what they look like magnified under a microscope. Come on, man. Come on down. Let's take a look at his head. Is that going to look like a triangle to you? Next, we're going to view a part of a tray that was filled with leaves. And you can see it's teeming with life, and that there's also a little bit more difficulty in seeing things because they're moving all over the place at different levels in the water. They're not all like in one location on the bottom like the previous one. And so sometimes they go in and out of focus, and also it's pretty much chaos. So see if you can identify a few things by watching the ones that stick around a little longer in the screen. Okay, and now I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to talk as I go, and I'll call out the bugs as they show up. Here we go. Okay, that orange thing walking along there on the left, that is a water mite. Okay. And a little bug at the top there. Well, let's see if he gets out. Yes. Oh, well, let's do the big wobbly guy first. The big wobbly guy in the upper right, that is a black fly larva. We'll see him again in a minute here. And that guy there, that is a mayfly larva. There's the big guy again. You can see he looks like kind of a old-time wobbly punching bag. And these wigglies here, look at the wigglies and the long wigglies that are up closer to the lens here. And those are midge flies. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what insects or nymphs and larvae we may have seen in the creek. I probably saw 5 or 6 maybe different insects, baby bugs that were in the creek, and which is good. which is very good in terms of considering where our creek is and how much pollution gets into it from the neighboring areas and all the automobiles and stuff that drains into our creek. And so that's good. That's good. If we didn't see any bugs, that would have been an indicator that there was probably a poison of some sort, maybe a pesticide or something that got into the creek, and or maybe an oil or some other chemical that got into the creek. And so since we saw the bugs, we know that that didn't happen in any quantity that was big enough to kill the baby bugs. So the great thing is that means we have baby bugs, which means they will provide food for things in the creek. And then in turn, when they become adults, they will become food for other life, such as birds and all those other things that we talk about and we'll talk about in a few minutes. And so that's great. And so we're going to go through and I'm going to kind of walk you through a presentation of what kind of things rely on those bugs and what those bugs allow to be alive and exist in the corridor along Stevens Creek. And all the things that you see will be photographs of things that are here and have been seen here in the Stevens Creek corridor. And then we might mention a little bit about the time of year, right? Because some things you see more often during different parts of the year. Same thing with butterflies and such. They're not always here at the same time. So if you go and don't see them, maybe you're there in the wrong time of year. So you can learn about what is the right time of year for those bugs. What are their plants that they go on? Animals, when are they in their dens? When are they out and visible? You'll learn all those things. And once you learn all those things, and you never learn everything. There's always something new you learn. And you use all your senses out here. Your hearing, your seeing, your feeling, your sense of smell, all those things. Use those out here, and the most incredible world that's ever changing will open up to you. So let's take a look and see, because those bugs are in that creek and our creek is healthy to that extent, are allowed to exist in this wonderful place we have here to look around. So let's have a look.